Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being here today. And of course, as always, if you are interested in tarot readings, true crime stories, unsolved crimes, and the occasional candle making video, please consider subscribing. I really do appreciate that. And I also want to thank you guys, especially for the tarot supporters or the tarot subs that actually watch the candle making videos. I really do appreciate that. Also, I do want to announce that I want to very soon, within this week, I'm going to make a small video. I want to do another free giveaway because I haven't done one in a couple of months and I really thought that was fun. And I am kind of getting close to the 1,000 subscribers, and so just kind of to, you know, work my way up to the 1,000, I do want to do a giveaway soon, so I'm going to have more information on that. And I also want to mention, because I always forget to mention this, it's been months since I mentioned this, I do personal tarot readings, and I will have all the information that you need in the description box. I will give you my email address. What I do is I do the same format that I do for a reading, a video, a weekly reading. I will record the reading. You can see me pull, you can see me shuffle, and I'll go over it just like how I do these. And then what I do is I upload it to YouTube, but I do it as an unlisted video, so you are the only one that can watch that video, and I will send you the link via email, and through that link you can watch the video. Only you can see it. But that's how I do the tarot readings. Turnaround time is within a day. It doesn't, I mean, it takes about an hour, but I try to get it done as quickly as I can. So turnaround time is about a day, and I just wanted to let you guys know that before I forget another week. Okay, so today's video is going to be a requested video, and it is the case of Andrew Gosden. He was a 14-year-old who lived in Doncaster, South Yorkshire. Okay, and in 2007, he was 14 years old. This was a very highly intelligent young man. He was a student at the Macaulay Catholic High School, and he was on the Young Gifted and Talented program, which was designed to enhance the educational development of the top 5% of school pupils. And he had been expected to score straight A's in the GCSE examinations. Okay, he was described as a prize-winning mathematician who seemed destined for Cambridge. He was also described as having a neutral attitude about school, hoping the upcoming school term would provide more of a challenge after having cruised through his education thus far. So, very intelligent young man. Now, on the flip side, his father says that he could be absent-minded, not streetwise, and potentially vulnerable. Okay, so we've got a very intelligent young man, but not a whole lot of street sense. So it says here, let me just go ahead and read the day of the disappearance. It says, on the morning of his disappearance, Gosden had difficulty waking up and seemed particularly irritable. His mother had stated that this was unusual as he was normally awake on time. At 8:05 a.m., Gosden left his house and was witnessed walking across the local park to his usual bus stop by a family friend, Reverend Alan Murray, who was sitting on a bench in the park. Instead of taking the school bus, Gosden diverted from his usual route and walked to a cash machine at a local garage. He withdrew £200 from his bank account, which was almost all of his money. He had $214 in his account, but the ATM would only allow withdrawals of $20 notes. Gosden was then captured on a neighbor's CCTV system returning home. At home, he placed his uniform in the washing machine and his blazer on the back of his chair. He then changed into casual clothes consisting of a black slipknot t-shirt and black jeans, and took a bag and embellished with various patches of rock and metal bands. He also took his wallet, keys, and a PlayStation console. No other possessions were identified as missing. It was quickly established that he had not taken his passport with him. Gosden's father stated that his son did not appear to have taken a sweatshirt or coat with him, and had also not taken the charger for his PSP. Gosden also left around $100 in cash that he had saved up from birthdays. At 8:30, Gosden departed from the house and was seen heading down Littlemore Lane towards Westfield Park on a neighbor's CCTV. He then walked to Doncaster railway station and purchased a one-way ticket to London, which cost $31.40. The ticket seller later recalled that she had told Gosden that a return ticket would just be a few dollars more, but he insisted on purchasing a single ticket. At 9:35, Gosden was witnessed boarding the train to King's Cross Station alone. One woman reported sitting next to Gosden, whom she described as being quiet and engrossed in playing a game in his video game console. When Gosden failed to attend morning lessons at his school, his teachers tried to contact his parents. The school believed that they had called Gosden's parents and left a message informing them that he had not attended school. However, the school dialed the number of the parents either above or below Gosden in the register, and the message was left to the wrong person. At 11:20, Gosden arrived at King's Cross Station and was captured on CCTV footage, leaving the main entrance of the station at 11:25 a.m. This was the last confirmed sighting of him. So, we don't know why he went to London that day. Besides him waking up a little bit grouchy that day, everything I think seemed fairly normal. It was him, Andrew, his older sister, and his mom and dad who lived in the home. So I believe he proceeded to go to the bus stop to make his parents think that he was going to school that day. He waits for everybody to leave. He goes back to the house. He does his usual routine of throwing his tie and blazer over his chair and throwing his clothes in the washer, changes his clothes, withdraws money, and off to London he goes. Why did he not take the $100 that he had saved up from his birthday cards and Christmas cards? Why did he not take that cash with him? I don't know. Why did he not take his PSP charger with him? We don't know. Did he have another one? Was he planning on purchasing one? We also have the fact that his father said that he was very intelligent but lacked some sort of street sense. So, and I think I also heard a comment where his father said that when it came to packing, he did not think of basic things. You would have to pack his toothbrush and toothpaste for him. So it's possible that he just wasn't thinking along those lines of maybe he would need a charger later on in the day. So I know one of the theories is that possibly he was being groomed. Maybe he was communicating with someone online. They possibly lured him to London that day. That's a possibility. The family did own a computer. It was, I believe, his older sister's computer, but it was kind of out for everyone, if I'm not mistaken. The authorities did check that computer. There was nothing on there that looked suspicious. I believe the authorities checked the computers at the school. Nothing suspicious. So no trail of any kind of online communication with anyone. Now, this is 2007, and he did have a PSP, so I'm not really quite sure what kind of access he had to the internet with that. Could he have been communicating with someone on that? That's a possibility. I don't really know enough about that. So not a whole lot suggesting that there was a groomer, but I do think that is something that we need to consider. Was this just a day thing? I kind of think it is. I think that he had all intentions of going back home. I think something happened either in London or possibly a grooming situation, and it went horribly wrong and not the way he had anticipated it to. But I do believe in my gut that he had all intentions of returning home that day. Now, as far as not getting a return ticket, that one right there kind of concerns me, and it does make me feel like there is a second party involved, because I feel like someone told him that they would take care of the returning home. Either they would provide a ride or they would purchase the return ticket for him. That's the only reason why I could imagine he wouldn't want a return ticket home. Now, some people have said that he wanted to leave, that he had all intentions of leaving and starting new, but I find that so almost hard to believe, because he's 14, and how many 14-year-olds successfully leave home and start their life new? I mean, it just seems almost, I think it would be hard for an adult to do, much less a 14-year-old child with not a lot of street sense. So I don't know how he has managed to pull that off for 14 years and no one see him. It just doesn't seem plausible that he decided to just up and leave and start his life fresh. I think something happened, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of it today with these cards. So I've got Lo Scarabeo and I've got the Dark Grimoire. So I'm going to start with the Dark Grimoire and see what happens or what comes out. And I'm just going to ask an overall question about Andrew Gosden and see what the first few cards are that come out. Okay, Andrew Gosden. Now, I think this has absolutely devastated the family. Like I said, he had an older sister and mom and dad. And I believe I read that dad has had a really challenging time dealing with this, which is understandable. I believe both parents were speech therapists. Dad had to stop working. He just could not function anymore. Mom has kind of shut down. I think his sister, she did recently get married in the past few years, if I'm not mistaken, but this has devastated this family, which again is understandable. Okay. Andrew Gosden. What can we find out about Andrew Gosden? What happened that day in London? What happened that day in London, Andrew? What happened that day in London? What happened that day in London? All right, Ten of Pentacles, Queen of Swords. What is this one here? The World card reversed. That's not good. Oh, the Tower. Okay. Death. Six of Wands. The Magician. King of Cups. Judgment. Okay, so not a very good draw. I do think that there was some sort of foul play that he came into. I really do. These are not good cards. These are really together. They're just not. They're not good. We've got the main ones. We've got the Death. We've got the Tower. We've got the Magician. Okay, this person right here, the Magician, I believe that that's the person behind this. This was a trickster. This was someone that was, this is the person, I believe, the Magician who is behind all of this. Okay, so I do believe that there is another party involved. And, the fact that he's coming out as a magician explains to me why no information has come out about it. He is a trickster. That's what I consider the Magician. It is an upright magician. It's not a reversed magician. But given the other cards like the Tower and the Death card and Judgment and the World, this just to me is someone that you don't want to come across, and someone who is very deceitful and capable of doing and getting away with just about anything. And I'm looking at this one here, the Six of Wands, this one here. It kind of makes me feel like we're looking at Andrew in the hat, right? I know he had his rock shirt on and his black blue jeans, but in this particular case, the guy with the hat and the suit reminds me of Andrew's school uniform with the blazer, okay? And then we have this, again, like this other guy, he looks like a creature, coming up to him. Okay, so this tells me that, and even the streets, this deck kind of, this is not my favorite deck of all time, but for this particular case, it just kind of felt it just, I was drawn to this deck for this particular case. So I'm looking at the street, and we're talking about London here. I've never been to London. I don't know what London looks like, but it just kind of strikes me as old time London kind of vibe. And so I'm looking at this guy, and he's just walking along, minding his own business, and he's approached by this person. And this person isn't a nice person. So we've got the death card. You know, is this transition or is this literal death? Okay, so I kind of feel like between the death card, between the tower, between judgment, and between the world card reversed, that I don't feel like Andrew is alive anymore. Now we've got judgment here. We've got the same guy. We've got the guy with the suit on, his hat, right? His hat has flown off. But we've got the same guy as we do in the Six of Wands, right? This guy here. And it kind of just tells the story that, you know, whatever happened, you know, we've got the death, we've got the open door, right? And now we've got this same person here headed towards the rainbow. This is judgment. Okay, so I do kind of feel like this is indicative that, you know, he is no longer here on this side. The tower, you know, this was just devastating for all parties involved. I think this is just kind of the repercussions of everything. It happened. And, you know, it happened. It was his tower moment in his life. Unfortunately, I do think that it did end his life, but it also, you know, destroyed his family. They don't know what happened to him. And I can't imagine what that feels like when you don't know. That's got to be the worst of the worst of the worst. If, you know, you don't even know where your child is. You don't know if they're alive, if they're cold, if they're hungry, if they're being tortured. You just don't know. And so, you know, this to me represents all the turmoil and the pain that this family deals with and has been dealing with for the past 14, 15 years. So now we've got the Ten of Pentacles. We've got some form of money or material possessions coming out. So I want to keep that in mind, because I want to ask next, what was the reason why he went to England, or not England, but what was the reason why he took the train into London that day? So let's hold on to I'm going to put that aside, the Ten of Pentacles aside, because I think something else is going to come out later on. Now we've got, again, the world card. It came out reversed. Okay, so reversed. But to me, I take this just as it is. It's to me, a literal card. You know, that day, I think all of their worlds, and all of, you know, the parents, the sister, the brother, the mom, you know, the world ended as they knew it that day. Okay, from that day on, it was a whole different life. Okay, and I think that this card represents that. And then we have the Queen of Swords, and we have the King of Cups. So the Queen of Swords and the King of Cups, I honestly, I kind of feel like this is, if I can hold it right here, I kind of feel like this is mom and dad. I really do. I think mom and dad is coming out. And I think that, like I said I think I said it in the intro. If not, I read it. But dad has taken this extremely, extremely difficult. Like I said, I think that they were both speech therapists. Dad could not function and had to end up stop working. He could no longer continue to work. Now mom, I think that I read that mom has kind of dealt with it by working and has kind of closed off, doesn't like to talk about it too much, and finds some comfort in being busy. Dad, on the other hand, I think has dealt with severe depression and unfortunately tried to end his life at least once. And so it kind of makes me feel like it's the personality of the parents coming out. Not that mom is cold and harsh, but she's just dealing with it in a different way as the father. This is the King of Cups, and so this is the King of Emotions. And I think that the dad has had a hard time dealing with his emotions. And so All this here, I think, is just, kind of giving us a background of what happened and how it's affecting everyone in this here. And so the only person I haven't seen come up is sister. She may still come up, but I do think that this is mom and dad. All right, so now I want to specifically ask, why did you go to London that day? What made you go to London that day? The Four of Pentacles comes out. Four of Pentacles falls out, and we've got possession. We've got holding on to something. There was something that took him there that he wanted, something that he valued. This is, again, I saved the Pentacles because I feel like there is some sort of material item that literally took him to London. Okay, there was something that he wanted dearly. I mean, look how this person here is holding on to this book for dear life, right? No matter what, you're not getting that book from this person. Whatever that book is, I don't know what that book is for Andrew, but there was something that he treasured. Okay, something that he wanted, something that was enough for him to make this trip into London and skip school and go get it, and I think had all intentions of going home. So there's something. So we need to figure out what this book is. What is the equivalent of this book to Andrew? All right, why did you go to London? What was the reason why you were going to London? What was this book? What is this? What was this possession? What was this possession? The wheel reversed. The moon. Yeah, Five of Swords. King of Pentacles. Five of Wands. Yeah, I feel like something happened in London. I don't think, honestly, I'll be honest, when I first heard about this case and when I first looked into it, the first thing my mind went to was the grooming theory. It really, really was. But the fact that this Wheel of Fortune has come out and it came out reversed, it just kind of tells me that this was kind of just at the wrong time, at the wrong place. It was just something that happened, and it happened out of the blue. I don't think it was planned. I don't think that there was any kind of, grooming going on or anything like that. I really think that there was something materialistic, something that he wanted, something that he was trying to get, something that he was possibly trying to purchase. And just kind of came upon problems, just literally came upon problems. We've got two fives in this one. We've got the Five of Wands and we've got the Five of Swords. So this one here shows this very same guy, right? The very same character, the guy with the suit. So this is Andrew to me, and it shows him literally running from like a mob. Okay, so according to this deck here, it's showing him arriving in London and possibly being approached by a stranger, possibly running into a situation where there are words exchanged or some sort of physical altercation. He's trying to get away, and I don't think is successful in doing so. And just things don't go the way they were meant to. So the two fives are concerning. That is something, the two fives with the devil and the tower, and it just isn't a very good pull. The Nine of Wands, usually that is again defensive. Okay, that's to me kind of goes with this Five of Swords. The King of Pentacles, let's hold on to that one. The Wheel of Fortune, kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time, like I said, coming upon something. This can also be kind of seeing something that you weren't meant to see. Did he see something that he wasn't meant to see? Because if you look at this guy right here, okay, the character guy, the guy that I think represents Andrew, it looks like he kind of comes upon something that maybe he isn't meant to see. Or maybe he is meant to see, depending on the situation or the scenario. But in this case, I'm wondering if maybe he happened to see something that he wasn't meant to see, and the result wasn't good. But there are obviously some things, I think, with the moon coming out that somebody knows something, is what I always feel like when the moon comes out. Someone knows something. There's someone out there that has the information, and this card makes me think back to that guy that claimed he had information on Andrew's case, went to the police, and apparently, I don't know if I read that the police station wasn't open, or it was something odd, but this man was told to return at a later time or another time, and they never heard of him or never heard from him ever again. So this guy did come out and say he had information, an anonymous person, but never comes forward with any of the information he claimed to have. So who was this guy who claimed to have information on Andrew? This kind of makes me feel like there is someone out there with information. Okay, there's people, more than one. More than one. There's people out there that know. Someone has information. And then we have another Pentacles card. Okay, so it kind of just makes me... Now, any other time, this would be another key character, another key player, and it might well be that. Okay, it might be that magician, might be the magician person that came out earlier, because I do feel like he came in contact with someone. So I want to keep this one out as well. Okay, so I want to ask if he was planning on meeting someone in London. Were you actually meeting someone in London? Were you meeting someone in London? Seven of Pentacles. Let me draw one more. The Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so with all the Pentacles coming up, I do have to say that this to me is... all of this entire trip to London, this day trip to London, is all about something he wanted to purchase. This is about some material item that he wanted. Okay, the Ace of Pentacles is just that. What was his Ace of Pentacles? What was he trying to buy? Because I do feel like that's what he was doing. He went to London to buy something, I think. To buy something or to pick up something. To go back to the grooming, it kind of makes me feel like, no, maybe not grooming necessarily, but could he have come across an ad? I think I read someplace where he wanted to get an Xbox. He wanted to purchase, or he wanted an Xbox. Okay, so was he looking at private ads in the classifieds about someone selling a used Xbox or a used game system? And, maybe was this not necessarily alluring, but was this someone with ill intentions by putting this ad in the newspaper? Did he come across something that he wanted to purchase, and he reached out to these people or this person and said, hey, I'm interested, and this person took advantage of him? That's a possibility, and that's kind of where my mind is leaning to at this point, because of this Ace of Pentacles. Okay, this is a new item. This is something that he wanted. I feel like he went to London to pick up whatever this is representing. Okay, and I feel like it has something to do with a game system. I really do. I feel like there's a game system involved. And then we've got the Seven of Pentacles. So again, this just kind of makes me feel like, usually sevens are kind of reflection, having options, having availabilities, making sure that this is what you want to do, checking out all your other options available to you. But this one is definitely particular because of the person or the image or the beast or creature or whatever it is standing behind him. Okay, so it's like he's the one being watched. He's the one that's being watched. And the way he's standing there with this person, and again, that's why I picked this deck, is because of that one guy, the main character with the tie and the suit or the hat and everything. It just reminds me, or it makes me think of what Andrew's high school uniform would potentially look like. But this makes me feel like someone was watching him. Someone was watching him. Someone was behind him. Someone expected him. And I feel like this is that magician, possibly that King of Pentacles, maybe. And I do feel like, again, we're talking about a Pentacles card. It evolves around a material possession. There's something going on, okay? And it kind of makes me feel like there was something possibly for sale. I would be curious to know the classifieds at that time in 2007 in London. Were there any used Xbox systems or any used game systems that were in the paper? You know, did they check anything like that? Because I kind of feel like he came across something that was for sale and came in contact with this individual, and it's possible that this individual offered to purchase his return ticket home, or maybe he offered to drive him home, but this person was watching. This person was watching and they were waiting. So not good. All right. How can you tell us who this person was? How can we help with this case? How can we help with this case? Who's this person? How do we find this person? How do we find this person? How do we find this person? Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Cups. We've got a lot of the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords. Reversed. The Eight of Wands. Reversed. We've got a couple eights. Knight of Wands. All right, so this one here, the Eight of Swords, is an interesting one. This is being kind of held captive. Usually it's in your mind, it's sword, so it's your thoughts and your consciousness, and so it's just kind of like in your head. You feel like you're being, held captive, but in actuality you're not. So it's not literal. But when I'm reading in true crime, I do somewhat take it literally, and it kind of makes me feel like he was held for a while. I do think that he was held for a while. He was held captive. So, it is an 8, and we do have another 8 here. Okay, we had 2 8s popped out. So, is this saying that he was held for 8 hours, 8 days, 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years? It could be any of those, but we've also got stars. So we've got several. So we've got a lot. Right? So I kind of feel like he was held for quite some time, actually. And it makes me think back to that period in the beginning when they found out that he had went missing. And it took 27 days for the police to check the CCTV footage. And by the time that they got around to checking that in those surrounding areas around that King's Cross station, so much time had went by that it started to record over itself, and so that day was already wiped clean. And so they took so much time, they missed an opportunity to get more footage of him possibly in London. And so I do feel like in the beginning, had they maybe acted a little bit differently and acted a little bit quicker, they possibly would have had more information. And then I'm looking at that evil third eye up there. So I this is an interesting one, and I do kind of feel like it means that he was held for a while. We're dealing with somebody pretty dark and nasty and evil here. Again, the Eight of Wands, I think that kind of goes with this one, and the Knight of Wands. So, I mean, this one here, I mean, I'm just looking at it, and the guy, the knight, on whatever creature this is a person that looks scary. This is frightening, and it just kind of shows to me the initial attack, the part where he, I do believe that there was some sort of an approach. I'm wondering if Andrew knew who he was meeting, or if he just didn't know this person. He was just, somebody said that they'd be at the station to pick him up or give him a ride. Maybe he went there. He didn't know who he was necessarily meeting. He was maybe just going on a description and just kind of walked into someone, and maybe it was the person he was supposed to meet. I think so. And then, it got out of control. But this to me is like the act itself. And this just shows the person, in attack mode, acting, responding, and how vicious he was. And how angry he was. I mean, look at the face. The face of him is scary, and the face of his creature thing is scary, right? I mean, this is fierce. This is fierce, right? This is scary. And then we have two women. So we have more than two women, because we pulled a woman earlier. I can't remember which one it was, but we've got the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. So who are these? Who are these women? We've got two other key players in this. We've got two females, possibly. Are these witnesses? Are they associates? Do they know something? But we have two women to consider as well. All right, so did you know who you were meeting? Because I do feel at this point he was meeting someone. Did you know who you were meeting? Did you know who you were meeting? Did you know who you were meeting? Okay, another seven, a Seven of Swords. Chariot. Four of Wands. Okay. Page of Wands. Nine of Cups. Okay. So we've got the Chariot, right? Interesting that we've got the Chariot, because that's a mode of transportation. That's what it is. It's a mode of transportation. And we know that he took the train to London, and we know that he didn't want a return train ticket back. And this kind of tells me that transportation is key to this. And I do think that this represents the train, and it also represents the ride back. So I do think that he was offered potentially a ride back. This guy here, if you look at him closely, I don't know if you can see it, but his horse's eyes are red, and his eyes are red, and look at all that fire in the background and all those hills and turbulent times behind him. So this is like someone running away, right? This is someone running away from whatever damage they've done in the background there. Okay, so someone who didn't do anything good, right? A bad person. So I do kind of feel like this is this is the person that did whatever he did to Andrew, and I do think something. I think that something was done to him. Okay, so I definitely right here, and this kind of shows him kind of leaving and escaping. And that's what he's been able to do. He's been able to escape this entire time. So interesting that one's coming out. And I think with the fact that the Chariot's coming out, I do think that is also indicating that possibly that explains why he did not want to get another ticket to return. Maybe this person offered a ride, right? Maybe this person offered transportation. We've got two horses, right? So one horse could represent to London, and one horse could represent back home from London. And then we have the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords, let's see here. We've got a gun. We've got Let me wait on that one for just a second. The Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands is usually someone younger. So this is someone, or a young stage, okay? So possibly someone on a new spiritual quest, or, you know, kind of interested in new things, checking out new things. You know, so who is this and what is this? You know, this is Wands, so this is fire, okay? Goals, passions, desires. It can be spirituality. It can represent that. Pages are either, like I said, they're younger people, they're younger ideas. So it could be a new passion in spirituality. It could be a new goal. It could be a new idea, new desire. So I don't know. I kind of feel like with it being a page, kind of makes me feel like it could be Andrew. But I don't know. I'm a little bit turned off by the image of this page here. It's throwing me a little bit because it doesn't look like a typical page. And this person here, this person here doesn't look, I don't know. I know it's the deck. I know the deck is a little bit on the darker side, and it's got these creatures and these monsters and whatever in it. And so this, I don't know. I'm having a hard time connecting this page to be Andrew. And honestly, what I'm kind of leaning towards is this person here, possibly. This was something maybe that this person had never done before. That's kind of where I'm headed, because I'm having a hard time connecting this card to Andrew. And I kind of, it makes me, because the face is pale, and he kind of does have that creepy appearance to it. And so, like I said, pages are young, okay, or they're young ideas, or they're in the early stages. And it makes me feel like this person, whoever did this to Andrew at this point in time, had not done it before. This was something new. This was like a new a new experience, or a new thought or idea. This was something that he was just kind of experimenting with and getting into. And I think that he was a monster because his face is creepy looking. He was a monster, but he hadn't grown into the monster that he probably is today if he's still around. So it was kind of like, I feel like this is saying that he was in the early stages of being this evil person, okay? There was something growing in him, and this was in the early stages. So now we've you know, Andrew's been missing for 14, 15 years. So this person has had 14 or 15 years to develop his skills, so to speak, which is awful. But I feel like this is saying that this person was just starting out. The Seven of Swords, I'm still thinking about that one. The Four of Wands is usually, you know, a good card. This is usually celebration. I kind of feel like this is Andrew on his journey that day. This is a four. It's a foundation, right? It's happiness, and it's good times and things like that. And so I do kind of feel like this was actually not necessarily anything in his mind that was bad. Like, he was just on a journey, okay? This is a path. He was just on a journey that day. He was going into London. I think he wanted to make a purchase. I think he was really excited about making this purchase, whatever it was, and had all intentions on going there and doing his thing and going back home. Foundation, home, right? I don't think that he was trying to escape it at all. I think he ran into some major trouble when he got to London, okay? And this here, to me, kind of represents, usually it represents either the church or the home that's in the background on this card in particular. In this particular card, I feel like this is London. I feel like this is him on his journey to London, taking this path into the city. And he had all intentions on returning and going back home. But as we see, we've got all this fire in the background. And it's like, to me, it represents all the trouble that came when he got to his destination. I'm going to keep the Seven of Swords up here for a second. Sevens again, the Seven of Swords can be defense, right? It can be defensive. And then this kind of just shows to me, if anything, this kind of tells me that when I look at this card, I see this guy sleeping and he's got his gun and he seems like he's ready for anything, but this person here is kind of sneaking in on him, and it kind of just shows that he even though he has his gun here, he's not really ready. His guard is down. He fell asleep. Okay, he let his guard down. Maybe he was supposed to be up and watching and keeping out, but this kind of makes me feel like the point of this card is maybe his guard was down. He just wasn't prepared. He wasn't prepared for what was behind the door. He wasn't prepared for the sneakiness of people. And I think this really shows, it goes back to the statement that the dad made about how he did not have the street sense that possibly others had at that age, even though that's young. Probably not a lot of 14-year-olds have a lot of street sense, but to me this just kind of feels like he felt like he had enough protection. He thought he was going to be okay, and just kind of took that for granted, but ended up, not being prepared, is what I think this card is saying. And then we have the Nine of Cups. So, to me, this here is, the Nine of Cups is usually a contentment card, happiness, having all of the things that you need. It can be, usually when I pull the Nine of Cups, I always feel like it's the person who, the perpetrator who has gotten away with something, who is content with being able to get away with what he did. It can also be just fulfilled, right? It can be a fulfilling card. And so I honestly feel like this is the person who did this to Andrew. And this is what he does. This is what makes him happy. This is what, this is something that started out, I think, 14, 15, 16 years ago. I think it started out as something small, and that's how he gets his fulfillment. That's how he gets his happiness. Okay, so I think that's what it is. So let me switch over to the Los Scarabeo deck and see what we have. All right. Andrew Gosden. Andrew Gosden. Will this man, I want to know if this man will ever get caught. That's a good sign. Will this man ever get caught? Will this man ever get caught? Okay, so okay. All right, will this man ever get caught? And what comes out is let me try to move this light here. What comes out is the Three of Cups, okay? So that's like a celebration card. So this is a good sign. And I do feel like there is hope with this card coming out that this person will eventually get caught, and we may find out what happened to Andrew eventually. Now, I know it's been 14 years, but there are those cases where things go unsolved for many, many, many years, and sooner or later something comes out, and we are able to know what happened. And I think that might happen in this case, because there is going to be some cause of celebration. We've got the work card, methodical work card, the Eight of Pentacles. So I do, because I asked a question, will this man ever get caught? I do feel like it is going to come down to hard work. I do feel like this is really kind of indicating that the authorities are going to have to really look at each and every clue, each and every single thing. I do think that this person has now done, I honestly do feel like whoever did this to Andrew, I think that Andrew was one of the first, possibly the first victim. And I do think that this person has continued to do this since that. And I think that they have to take that into consideration and just kind of look at each and every clue that they have, each and every case that they have that could be similar. And then we have the Eight of Cups reversed, which is walking away. But it is also seeking fulfillment, kind of trying to fill a void is what I like to look at this card at. If he's walking away, we've got that cup that looks like it's missing, and so it kind of shows this man kind of walking away, trying to, see if he can kind of fill that cup or that void. And the fact that it's reversed, again, it tells me that this person, I think at this point we're drawing cards on the person who did this to Andrew, and I think that there is something in him that makes him want to do this. And unfortunately, this is an 8-2, so we've got 2 8s, actually. We've got 2 8s in this pull. Kind of makes me feel like, that's a significant number. Is that how many, victims this person has done this to? I'd be curious to, yeah, that's interesting, really. I feel like this guy has done this more since Andrew. I think that Andrew kind of, this was his first early on case. Okay. Does this man live in London? Does this man live in London still? Does this, or this individual, does this individual live in London? Does this individual live in London? Okay, so we've got the Two of Pentacles, but it came out reversed. Okay, so this is usually a juggling of finances, okay, or material possessions. So a juggling or a balance card. Or in this case, I would consider it more of an imbalance. We've got the Six of Pentacles, so we've got Pentacles coming up, and this is an exchange, and I believe it was reversed. So we've got someone that is, these two here, the fact that because this one came out reversed as well, the fact that these two are coming out reversed tells me that there's something, actually, we've got a lot of pentacles in this reading. So there's something going on with material possession, health, finances, but it's not right. There's something off about it because these two are reversed. So there's something going on with this individual that isn't right in that realm. Now, I kind of feel like with the way the cards have come out today, I kind of feel like that Andrew was going to meet someone in London that had put out an ad to sell something. And I do feel like that is how this person gets to people. Okay, he puts out ads and he's literally trying to sell something, which kind of means to me the pentacles, all of the pentacles coming out. And he's using that as a luring technique, okay? Because this here is a snake, right? It's a serpent. It's someone that you can't trust. And so I do kind of feel like he's using that as a weapon, or a tool rather, a weapon and a tool to lure people. Okay. I think he literally, I think this is an ad. I think that this is a person that puts out an ad on something and he makes it too irresistible. Maybe not too irresistible, but he makes it irresistible enough for a young person to travel an hour and a half away to buy something. And so I do think that is, I think that's what's happening here. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. So another Pentacles, okay? This is another Pentacles. I think this person is using this as his means to get to people. I think it worked with Andrew. I think that one was one of the first few times, if not the first time that he tried it. And I think it worked so well that has been his method of operation ever since then, and it's been successful. So, the Knight of Pentacles just kind of, the fact that he's on a cow means slow. This is someone who takes their time. And it kind of goes with this Eight of Pentacles here. This is like slow and steady, right? This is slow and steady, wins the race. Take your time, focus on each one. And I think that this is how he gets away with it. I think that he has done this before. I think we're talking about a person who's done this before. Or I shouldn't say before. I think he's done it since. Okay, I think he's done it since Andrew. And he, what are we dealing with? 14, 15 years. So let's just say 8 victims. Let's say there's 8 victims. So one every couple of years. That's what I think is going on. I really do. Let me see what else about this person in London can we find out. What else about this person? What else can we figure out about this guy in London or this person in London? Okay, he's not balanced, that's for sure. Another 4. The Death. The Hermit. 5. King of Pentacles. That's the second time that King of Pentacles has come up. It's the second time that the World has come up. It's the second time that the Moon has come up. These are all, this isn't, this is reversed. Okay, so the Hermit kind of tells me that this is a loner. This is a person who is kind of more of an introvert, more does stuff by himself. Okay, doesn't really bring attention to himself, kind of works, under, just on the low. This is just a person on the low, okay? He doesn't raise any attention. He doesn't raise any kind of, anything. So no one would suspect him. I don't think it's anybody that, anything like that. The Temperance card, this is in these types of readings, this is my concoction or my cocktail card, which means that someone was given something. And this does kind of go with the fact that I do think that Andrew was held for a while. I think that he was, that 8 of Swords kind of told me that he was maybe possibly held for a while before anything else happened. And this makes me kind of still think that way, and possibly was given something as well in that time frame. We've got the Death, and I do feel like in this situation we are dealing with a person who has passed away, although I don't think it was right away. I really don't. I think it was after a while. And of course the World card, I think I'm going to end the reading on this one here because of the World card. So we've got that, and it just kind of means the end of cycles and new beginnings. And so I do kind of feel like, this does kind of, to me, confirm with, the Death card. This is a transformation. This is an ending and a new beginning, right? And I do think in this situation, it does mean that Andrew is no longer here, unfortunately. And I kind of got that in the first few cards that we pulled as well. But I do think that there is someone who has some information. Okay, someone has some information, whether it is the person who came forward years ago and said he had information, or if it's someone else. But I do feel like this card always tells me that there's something that someone knows. And that card always gives me hope, especially with those 3 of the 3 of Cups card. That's a celebration of sorts. And so not that there's any sort of celebration in this, but I do feel like there could be at least some bittersweet closure as far as finding out what happened to this young man. And I do think that piece of the puzzle is out there. I think someone has it. Someone has that. And we've got the King of Pentacles again. I think that this again goes right back to the idea that this is a man who uses material possessions to draw people in. And I really think that it's through potentially putting out ads for people to buy something. In particular, maybe he targets a certain age. Okay, with all the pentacles that came out in this reading, there is some sort of material possession that's important in this story somehow. We've got the 4 of Swords. We did have the 4 of Wands, so we've got 4s coming up. We've got 8s coming up. You know, fours are usually foundation, stability, comfort, things like that. And so this one here, the Four of Swords, you know, if you think about the regular Four of Swords in the Rider-Waite deck, that's the man that's in all of his armor, and he's kind of laying down and his swords are on the wall, and it kind of looks like, honestly, it looks kind of like a man, you know, in a coffin. That's what it kind of resembles. And so, you know, it's that white flag moment. It's like giving in. Now, this again, to me, kind of also makes me feel like it's a possibility that this is also another card indicating that Andrew is no longer here on Earth. But this could also indicate that there is going to be an ending to this man, whoever is behind Andrew's disappearance. Again, like I said, it's like a white flag. It's like a giving in, okay? So this kind of has a couple of different possible meanings to it. It makes me feel like, again, with the World card and that Three of Cups, that there could be a potential ending to this, okay? And the Moon card, because I think someone knows something, and even though it's been 14 years, I still have hope that there's going to be some closure to this, especially for the family. I hope so. And then the Five of Swords. So this to me kind of tells me, this to me in the middle is the perpetrator, the person who's behind Andrew's missing, or going missing. So this to me kind of shows that is there people in his circle that are going to turn against him? That's what it makes me feel like. I feel like there's people in his circle that know what he does, and they're aware of what he has done, even though he is, I think, an introvert and a loner. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have people in his life, okay? He may be a loner and an introvert, but he still has to work, possibly, and make a living, okay? He still has to, you know, live and go to the store and buy food and do things, pay bills, right? So there are going to be people in his life. Are there people in his life that think he's odd? He doesn't necessarily raise any red flags, but there's just something that they can't, you know, they can't put their finger on. They just, he's just not quite right. You know, is he just a quiet guy, or is there something wrong with him? So it kind of makes me between this one here, that someone knows something, and then this one here, and then the Three of Cups. It kind of makes me feel like eventually someone's going to find out something, and they're going to definitely turn their backs on him, and they're going to report it, and there is going to be some sort of finality or closure to this case. And that will be the end of his reign of terror. So I kind of do feel like that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with someone, I think, that lured Andrew to London, possibly with some sort of an ad or something like that in the classifieds or something. I think that Andrew went to London with the idea of purchasing something, did not know who he was meeting. I think that with that Seven of Pentacles, I think that he was watched. I think that he was being watched as soon as he landed at the train station in London. And I think that he was approached shortly thereafter, and at that point was taken. And I think that that was, again, like I said before, the early stages of this perpetrator, and led to him ultimately doing it again since then. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this reading. So that's this week's reading, and until next time, again, if you guys have any questions or comments, or if you've seen something in the cards that I may have missed, please don't hesitate to write it in the comment section below. And until next week, you guys have a wonderful weekend.